The first of the 6 techniques top salespeople use involves matching or mirroring a customer's body movements. This mirroring action has proven to be one of the most powerful ways to build trust, primarily because it creates an atmosphere of agreement below the conscious level of the customer. So let's examine the hidden force behind this technique, and keep in mind that in this first section of the film, some of the following scenes are taken from actual candid footage. For instance, notice how this saleswoman matches or mirrors body movements to that of her customer. First, watch the customer's hand move into his pocket. Now see how the saleswoman's hand moves into her pocket. A seemingly simple move, instinctively done, that builds a bond between them below the conscious level. Here the customer gestures, and then so does she. And little by little, she gains his trust by making him feel comfortable, by creating an atmosphere of agreement that subtly says, we're alike. Now notice how in this case, the salesman on the left is careful not to mock or mimic the exact movements of the customer. Instead, he closely matches what the customer is doing. So when the customer makes this obvious move, the salesman follows with one that is less obvious. The same subtle mirroring action is true for this salesman on your left. Every move this salesman makes appears as natural and subtle as the next. And the image he creates as he uses this technique is one of sincerity, credibility, and trust. There are times, however, when the simple act of matching someone's body movements happens so quickly or subtly, we need to watch it in slow motion to be able to see it. First, watch the customer on your right. Notice how she crosses her legs, closes her hands, and taps her fingers together. Now, watch the salesman. He crosses his legs and puts his hands into a position that's similar to hers. But now, watch his fingers as they start tapping together. Without realizing it, this salesman even matches the tempo or rhythm of his customer's tapping motion. Dr. Moyne's research has shown that the customer isn't aware of this on the conscious level, but subconsciously, she senses that this salesman is trustworthy, that he is genuinely interested in helping her make the best buying decision. And watch how this saleswoman matches body movements in almost perfect harmony to that of her customer. First of all, keep an eye on the customer's hand movements. Notice how he moves his hands out and away from his body. She's so closely in step with this customer that when he starts to bring his hand back in, she automatically brings her hand in at the same time he does. And again, she moves her hands in perfect sync with his. She even nods her head in harmony with the up and down motion of his hands. And notice how their eyes are even in sync. She continues to match him with subtle movements and gestures that subconsciously say, I'm like you. We're in sync. You can trust me. In fact, subtlety is probably the key factor in matching body movements. Obviously, if you're not careful, you can overdo it. As you can see, exaggerated or exact mirroring can be perceived as insincere or even insulting. So as a rule, when you're mirroring someone's body movements, remember to underplay rather than overplay. If you want to see how your customer feels about you and what you're saying, try this. After you match body movements for a period of time and feel you have established rapport, try switching your position to one different from your customer's. Then watch the reaction that follows. If the customer starts to mirror your movements, then you know they are probably receptive to what you have to say and wish to maintain the relationship. We all want our customers to trust us and feel that we really do understand and care. Matching body movements is one way you can do this. It's a technique that can help you create a sense of oneness with your customers by showing you're like them, and that's a deep need we all have.